I'm going to repost a story I shared in a Mexican stories thread because it fits the theme here. This story was sent to me over a year ago, and I green texted it to share on 4chan. Note: I'm not great at green text. Anyway, the story itself is very bizarre and I'm not sure if you will enjoy it, but I did. Mom's family is mixed-alo race. We don't usually interact with our indigenous family because we live in California and they live in Oaxaca. Turning 15 years old, I go out to spend a month in Oaxaca with my grandpa and my family. Grandpa is a native guy, and he's hunted all his life. He's also an excellent tracker. He decides he wants to take me hunting even though I've never even used a gun before. Shows me how to shoot before we leave so that I'm not entirely clueless. FFW a couple hours. Grandpa and I are deep into the Oaxacan forest. We hear a noise. Grandpa can't identify it. He pauses listening. Tells me to walk until I'm about so meters ahead of him and then stop. Says it will help us locate where the sound is coming from. I've never hunted. Nervous, but kind of excited too. I move slowly, deeper and deeper into the forest, as quietly as I can. Suddenly a deep fog rolls in, and I mean dear, it's everywhere. Not sure what to do, so I just keep going. After walking the 50 meters as instructed, I squat behind some bushes and wait. And wait. After a bit I call out, "Grandpa." No response. Kind of starting to panic a bit, thinking maybe he lost me. Just then an owl swoops in, a big white adult owl. Startles the fuck out of me. I should also mention here that I'm terrified of owls, and always have been. I've been attacked by two. Once when I was a baby and once when I was 10. I have a huge scar on my scalp from where it attacked me, and I lost a piece of my lip. Owl lands on a nearby branch. Cue my fear of owls. I start freaking out. I hear my grandpa's voice just then. "Anon." I stand up, quickly. "Grandpa." He doesn't respond, just keeps calling my name. His voice is getting closer though. The owl starts moving around on the branch, shifting from side to side like it's agitated. Hear Grandpa's voice call out again. But this time I notice it sounds weird. Feeling seriously spooked now, I decide to stay hidden in the bushes. Grandpa's voice keeps getting closer. Suddenly it's really close. And I see something step through the bushes. But the fog is super dense. Can't really make it out at first. I can only tell that it's some type of animal. Keep watching it until finally I can make it out. It's a tapir, pie related. Feel myself overwhelmed with fear for some reason. I almost feel like crying. The tapir raises its head like it's sniffing the air. But then it opens its mouth. Anon. I'm getting uneasy here just writing this. Instantly think about shooting this thing, but I'm still pretty useless with a gun. The tapir gets closer. By this point the owl is making all sorts of noises. Sounds like it's squealing. Tapir looks over at the owl and calls my name again. The owl stops squealing all at once and locks eyes with me for a moment. Suddenly it dives down and begins to claw at the tapir's eyes. But the fog is super dense. Can't really make it out at first. It's dark black, almost like Chinese ink. That's enough for me, I take off running. I can hear the tapir start chasing after me, but it sounds like the owl is still attacking it. The tapir is still calling my name, but the voice sounds different now. Really high-pitched. I hear a loud crunch. Look back as I'm running, the tapir has the owl in its jaws. Suddenly Grandpa is rushing over to me. 7stay on the ground, he yells. He shoots at the tapir. Lands 2-bit shots, black ink blood going everywhere, but the animal won't go down. Its voice gets even louder, Grandpa keeps shooting. Tapir finally tums and runs into the forest. Grandpa checks on me and then we go over to where the tapir got shot. 2 bullets on the ground there. Covered in blood. Grandpa says the tapir wasn't an animal. He picks up the body of the white owl and says, "This wasn't an animal either." He tells me it was a relative of ours. But he's gone now. I cried on the way back home and Grandpa told everyone what happened. The family held a little ritual for the dead owl. And Grandpa showed me a framed photograph of his brother. He said that it was his brother who was controlling the owl, it was him who saved me. I never went back to fucking Oaxaca,